Hey, hello and welcome everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2019. This is our first official live training, workshop, seminar, whatever you want to call it. But what I want to do is start your 2019 off right with some good information so that you can start making some very smart decisions if you're going to be retiring in the next year, 2, or maybe even 5 years, right? Because the things we're going to talk about today are some things to set yourself up so that you could take advantage of the different types of tax strategies that are available when you set your retirement accounts up properly. So for those of you that don't know me, let me put up my name here. It is Jason Hamilton. I am a chartered retirement planning counselor and the founder of Keep It Simple Financial Planning, a registered investment advisor here in Orange, California. And every Sunday we bring you training, knowledge, and mindset and the way to think about things when it goes into planning your retirement so that you can get all your retirement goals together, feel confident, and be ready to make the transition when it is time. So today, I'm going to jump right into the training. And know it's a little bit earlier than we usually do. Usually we're about 2 o'clock West Coast time, but have a lot going on today. I'm going to go see some family up in LA. I'm driving from Orange County, so we need to get on the road here today. So hopefully that's okay. And if you can't catch it now, you can catch it at a later time. So let's jump right into the training today and really talk about what I wanted to start with is some of the changes that have come about with the new retirement contributions for 2019. So let me add my shining face here down in the bottom corner. And what I want to talk to you about today is how to optimize, right? And how to think about making your retirement contributions because maybe there's some things you haven't thought about in the past when it comes to planning to strategically take distributions, especially if you're going to be taking distributions before you apply for your Social Security benefit or before you apply for Medicare and you're looking to get some subsidy for your healthcare coverage between, say 62 and 65 or whatever it may be before you qualify for Medicare. So that's what I want to talk about today and some things to think about as you are planning where you're going to put your money and where it should go. So before we get into that, as always, I have to give you my disclaimer that this should not be seen as financial advice, tax advice, legal advice, anything like that. It is informational and that is not an offer to buy or sell or really recommend anything in particular, okay? So just keep that in mind as we're going through this. But let's jump in. So the first thing I want to talk about today is the highlights of the changes, right, for 2019. So you can go to the IRS website if you want to look all these up yourself, but I just pulled it there for you so you have it in one place. But a big highlight that came up today, or I should say this year for 2019, is the contribution limit for employees who participate in 401ks, 403bs, and most 457 plans. And the federal government's TSP or Thrift Savings Plan has increased from $18,500 to $19,000. So if you had your contribution set up to max out at $18,500, if you are below 50, then you can actually up that a little bit to get to the 19 this year. Don't miss out on that tax deferred money. Or if it's in a Roth 401k, same thing, right? So the limit on annual contributions to an IRA, which last increased in 2013, is increased from $5,500 to $6,000. So if you are 50 or over, then the additional contribution is not subject to an annual cost of living, but that did you can add an additional $1,000. So if you were putting in $6,500 last year, you can now put in $7,000 if you are 50 and over to an IRA, and that does apply to Roth IRAs as well. So the income ranges for determining eligibility to make deductible contributions to traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs and the claim to savers of credit all increased for 2019. So you want to be aware of this if before maybe you weren't able to qualify. So taxpayers can deduct contributions to a traditional IRA if they meet certain conditions. So if during the year either the taxpayer or their spouse was covered by a retirement plan at work, the deduction may be reduced or phased out until it is eliminated depending on the filing status and income. If neither the taxpayer or their spouse is covered by a retirement plan at work, then the phase outs of the deduction do not apply, but here are the phase out ranges for 2019. For single taxpayers covered by a workplace retirement plan, so that means if you have a 401k, 403b available, then the phase out range is $64,000 to $74,000, which is up from $63,000 to $73,000 in 2018. So what that means is once you hit that $64,000 number, then a portion of the amount you can contribute is reduced up to $74,000 when it is eliminated, okay? For married couples filing jointly, where the spouse making the IRA contribution is covered by a workplace retirement plan, the phase-out range is $103,000 to $123,000, which is up from $101,000 to $121,000. It's a couple thousand more dollars, so that's pretty nice. That may help you out if you were under that range a little bit last year. So for an IRA contributor who is not covered by a workplace retirement plan and is married to someone who is covered, the deduction is phased out if the couple's income. So if your income is between $193 and $203, which is up from $189 and $199. So that's a pretty big jump right there. So keep that in mind as you're planning your contributions this year. You can maybe be able to contribute a little bit more than you could previously. Okay, the income phase-out range for taxpayers making contributions to a Roth IRA is $122,000 to $137,000 for singles and heads of household, which is up from $120,000 to $135,000. So a couple more $1,000 of range so that you can still make contributions to a Roth IRA without having to do the backdoor method. So if you're not sure what the backdoor method is, go through some of the trainings. We have that in there about exactly what that is. For married couples filing jointly, the income phase-out range is $193,000 to $203,000, which is up from $189,000 to $199,000. So again, pretty significant increase. That's really nice if you were previously getting phased out for your ability to contribute to the Roth IRA. Okay, so the income limit for the Savers Credit, also known as a Retirement Saving Contributions Credit for low and moderate income workers, is $64,000 for married couples filing jointly, up from $63,000. It's at $48,000 for heads of household, up from $47,250, to $50,000, and $32,000 for singles and married individuals filing separately, up from $31,500. Okay, so now that we know those limits, what I want to talk to you about today is thinking through your strategy when it comes to where you're going to put your money, okay? So when it comes to retirement contributions, essentially it breaks down to that there's three buckets that you can contribute, okay? There's taxable, there is tax deferred, and there is tax-free. Okay, so taxable is anything outside of a retirement account. That means your bank account, simply a brokerage account, stock trading account, anything like that. Then you have your tax-deferred account. So those are your traditional IRAs, traditional 401ks, and 403bs. So that'd be all pre-tax money. And then you have your tax-free bucket, which is generally your Roth account. So any sort of Roth designated account, Roth IRA, Roth 401k. So this gets really interesting because in general, right, the way you want to make your contributions to these type of buckets is going to be based on current tax bracket versus future expected tax bracket. Okay, so for tax deferred money, if your current tax bracket is higher now than it's expected to be in the future, then generally you want to go tax deferred because you can take your money out later at a lower taxable rate. If your income is expected, if your tax rate, your marginal tax rate, so your top tax bracket that you're in, is expected to be lower now than it is in the future, then you probably want to go Roth, right? And put some money in your tax-free buckets because later if your taxes are going to go up, that money's tax-free as you withdraw. That's always really nice to have, okay? The taxable bucket, I think, is a little bit underutilized. And I should actually mention in our tax-deferred / tax-free bucket, we also have an HSA, so a health savings account. If you have a high deductible health plan where you qualify for an HSA, HSA can be a very valuable tool when it comes to healthcare planning, also saving taxes now and potentially drawing out money tax-free later. Again, if you do a search in the group here or on the page for HSAs, I've covered this in the past and exactly what to think about as you're going through. Go ahead and do a search for all that information there. But when it comes to retiring early, okay, so we have a lot of folks here that want to retire before they qualify for Medicare. What's the number one problem most people are having? How do I afford healthcare, right? Healthcare can be very expensive if your income is too high, your modified adjusted gross income is too high before Medicare, okay? There are limits which go up to the 400% of the federal poverty level, which, let me see if I have it here and handy. I have it right here in handy, okay? So for a single person, if you're filing as a single person, then 400% of the federal poverty level is $48,560 for this year. So if you're below that, for your modified adjusted gross income, you can actually qualify for some sort of subsidy to help you pay for healthcare. Okay, for couples, if you have a spouse and you're filing as married filing jointly, then that amount goes up to $65,840. So ideally, you want to keep your modified adjusted gross income below these amounts. Keep them below these amounts between when you retire and when Medicare kicks in, because if you do that, and if you do it properly while staying above the federal poverty level, you don't want to go too low, because if you're too low, then you get on something like Medicaid or Medi-Cal if you're in California. Then you can qualify for a nice big subsidy, which significantly impacts the amount you will pay monthly for insurance, for health insurance, okay? And health insurance ranges can be very wide depending what state you're in and the type of plan that you choose. But you can get a subsidy up to, I believe, $800 or so a month, a little bit above that. Don't quote me on that, but it's somewhere in that range. I'm going to share a case study with you guys, probably on another training, but this can be very, very crucial to the date that you retire. For example, you could possibly pay $1,000, if you don't get this right, or even just down to a couple $100, or even $150 a month if you do get it right. So if you're talking about saving $800 a month, which is about $10,000 per year, that lowers the amount you need to retire by hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially, because you have the subsidy coming in that's going to help you cover your insurance costs, okay? So when you're looking at these buckets going into retirement, I want you to be strategic, okay? If you have all your money in a pre-tax account, like a 401k account, so that means every dollar that comes out is going to be taxable, then you may, if you have a year or two before retirement, even if it may cost you a little bit of extra taxes today, you may want to put some additional money in your taxable account or your tax-free account, just pay the taxes up front, because when it comes to drawing money to cover your expenses between the age you retire and when you get qualified for Medicare, we can pull from that money and then keep you in a lower tax bracket, because you're not going to be activating any sort of taxable distribution by having that money from those accounts. So you may pay 10 or 15% extra in taxes this year on that money, but if it saves you $10,000 a year for each of the years until you qualify for Medicare, it could be a really, really smart move for you to separate your accounts like that and take the hit today, even though tax-wise it doesn't make sense. But when you're looking at healthcare planning and tax-efficient distribution planning, it can make a lot more sense for you to do it that way. So hopefully that helps, and we can get into more of this a little bit later. Today has to be a little bit of a quicker training, but we'll definitely dive into this as we're doing some more trainings throughout this year. If you have any questions on that, go ahead and drop them in the comments, and I'll address them hopefully before I get off this training today, okay? Okay, so the other thing I want to talk about today is what is no longer serving you, okay? Because there's financial aspects to planning for retirement, and then there's also the emotional and mental aspects of planning for retirement, okay? So what I'll talk about today is what's no longer serving you. What habits, beliefs, and actions are no longer helping you achieve your goals, okay? If you're sitting at home every month worried about what you're going to be doing for retirement and not taking any action, is that serving you? Is that habit, is that belief that it's just all going to work out and just hoping and praying and wishing it all works out serving you? Probably not, right? So what I want 2019 to be for you is the year you take control of your retirement planning. Whether you're 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 10, 15 years out, doesn't matter. I want 2019 to be the year that you take complete ownership and you block out any habits, limiting beliefs, and behaviors that are impacting and impeding your ability to progress to a very confident retirement. If you're watching this, you've already taken a first step, right? You're learning, you're developing yourself, you're taking action. That's wonderful, okay? Now, the question is, what are you going to do with this information going forward? Are you going to get an analysis done for you so that you know where to put your money, in what order, in the right account, so that you have a good strategic plan? Or are you just going to hope and wish it all works out? Okay, that's the question I have for you for 2019. If you're the type of person that wants to take action, that wants to get this right, one thing you could do is show up every Sunday, because we're going to be doing trainings here, bringing you information and helping you out. The second thing you could do is get the individual help that you may need, okay? So if you want to get help, what we always recommend, what I personally recommend, is a fee-only fiduciary financial advisor that you actually pay for service, right? Go, find somebody that you pay for service, because if you're being sold a product, a commission fund of any sort, anything like that, it just opens up so much range for lack of fiduciary duty. So what I mean by that is a fiduciary duty is a legal obligation that somebody has to work in your best interest. When you're working with somebody who's working on commissions, that goes out the window. And in all honesty, it's a mental and a personal battle that you have to trust the person's doing the right thing for you, okay? So I recommend you stay away from that and you look for a fee-only fiduciary advisor. If you like the way I personally explain things and teach about things and help you out with things, then I definitely want to open up my calendar for you so that you can get some assistance. And what we do is always offer a complimentary, no obligation first meeting so that I can help you create a high-level retirement strategy game plan so that you know all the big things that you should be thinking about, because almost every single time I have a phone call with somebody or a video chat with somebody, we're finding things that they just didn't think about or they didn't address ahead of time. So no matter what, you're going to walk away with a step-by-step game plan of the big things you need to do to get yourself to a confident retirement. If you want to do them on your own, that's just fine. And then if you want my help or our help, then that's definitely something we can discuss. So that's pretty much what I have for you today. But if you would like help with your tax bucket strategy of where to put the money, in what order, so it really helps you optimize your situation and help you save possibly thousands of dollars during or before retirement and then in retirement, then definitely we can help you out with that. If you need help with planning your tax efficient distribution strategy, right, on where to take your money from, in what order, from what account, to make sure you keep the most money in the government's hands, stay off your accounts, definitely can help you out with that. And really, when it comes to anything else regarding retirement planning, we can definitely help you out or connect you with the right resources so that you can get the help that you need, okay? So I'm going to put this out there as my calendar. If you want some help, I have a few spots this week, and then definitely we'll open up some more next week. But you can go to keepitsimplefinancial.com/talk, and that's a link directly to my personal calendar where you can schedule an appointment directly with me to discuss your situation and figure out what are the things you need to do to make sure you can retire with confidence. And if there's no time slots available, just keep an eye out. I do open slots up every couple days so that I can help as many folks out as we possibly can, all right? So that's all I have for you today. I appreciate you watching. I'm going to check in here for questions really quick before we wrap up. So if you have questions, drop them in the comments. But we have to make this a little bit quicker today than normal because we have a busy day today. So let me check for any sort of questions or comments here. And if there are none, then we can wrap up for today, and I will see you guys next week. Let's see here. Let me go to my training here. And I think that's pretty much it, right? I don't see any questions or comments. So hopefully you guys are getting a little bit of benefit out of this, and I'm helping you think a little bit differently when it comes to where to put your money in what order. And what I do say is never take general strategies. You want to get a particular plan and particular advice for your situation because everybody's a little bit different. Even though the overall strategy might make sense, like a 4% rule where you draw 4% out of your account each year, and statistically it should last. In reality, you may be underspending or you may be overspending. So it's similar with your tax strategy, right? You want to make sure you're putting your money in the accounts in the right order so that it maps with your particular plan. Because if you're retiring at 60 and someone else is retiring at 64, it's going to be two different strategies, right? So if you need help with that, I'm here to help you. Other than that, have a wonderful week. That's all I have for you today. And if you have questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments if you're watching this later. And I will go back in as soon as I can to answer those and help you out, guys. Have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.